Hello and welcome to this video. This video is being made for Hats, Hugs, and Hope, a chapter of Crochet for Cancer. And Hats, Hugs, and Hope is a Christian ministry which collects and distributes crocheted or knitted items and gives them to cancer patients in the northwestern North Carolina area. If you would like more information on what we're doing or how you can get involved, visit our Facebook page at facebook.com/hatshugsandhope. or shoot us an email at hatshugsandhope@gmail.com. In this video, we're going to be making this bow, and we're following a pattern, well, a variation of a pattern. I found this free pattern for a bow online, and I'll put a link to the pattern in the comments or the description below. And this is actually my variation of this pattern, but I thought I would include the link to the original as well. I've changed a lot of things about it to make it a little bit easier. This video has actually been made for an awesome group of young people who are learning to crochet, so they can donate hats and other things to cancer patients in the area. So the things that you'll need for this pattern, it calls for Caron Simply Soft, but I'm actually using Red Heart. Any yarn will work. As long as it's going to be similar to what you're making your hat out of. Next, the pattern calls for an F-size hook. I'm actually using a G hook just because it's going to be a little bit bigger of a hook and it's easier for my group of kids to work with. Next, we will need a yarn needle and scissors. Okay. The abbreviations for this pattern: CH is chain, SC is single crochet, SLST is slip stitch, EA is each, ST is stitch, and STS is stitches. And our finished product, really gauge here doesn't matter. It doesn't really matter how big or small our bow turns out, because really we can attach it to any hat. So to get started, our pattern tells us for row 1, we will chain 12, single crochet 11 across, chain 1, and turn. And then after row 1, we're going to repeat the same stitches for rows 2 through 20. We'll single crochet 11, chain 1, and turn. And at the end, we'll slip stitch all the way around the bow, finish off weaving ends, and then we will just wrap yarn around the center of our bow to actually form our rectangle into a bow. Okay, and then when we're done with our bow, we can attach it to some hats. Here's one that I made a long time ago that I still have, and you can see this one's got a much smaller bow on it, but this is just an example of what we can do. And see, this one's got the ribbon that's woven through all the way around. So this is just an example of some of the hats that we can put the bow on. Okay, so first thing that we need to do is make our slip knot, and I've actually shown my kids an easy way to do this. So what we do is we start with our yarn laid in front of us with our tail pointing toward the right, and then I tell them to twist, make a loop, and then take that loop and just fold it over. Okay, and now I can pick up that loop or that piece of yarn that goes through the center of the circle and hold my tail, and if I do that and pull on both, I'm going to make my slip knot. Okay, so my pattern said for row 1 I need to chain 12 and then single crochet 11 across. So I'm going to start with my chain 12. Okay, and then remember, with chain, you're going to yarn over and pull through your loop. That's one chain. Yarn over, pull through again, that's 2. Yarn over, pull through again, that's 3. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Okay, so I have chained 12, and if you lose count somewhere along the way, the easy way to tell how many chains you have is to count the V's. So if I look at my chain, I have a V, right there's a V, and then I have another V, right there it is, and then another one, and another one. So I can count these V's and make sure that I have 12 chains. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and that little one there is my 12th one. So I have 12 chains. Now I need to single crochet 11 across my chain. Well, I have 12 stitches. So what I need to do is when I single crochet, I'm not going to go into this very last chain right here. See, my yarn is being pulled through that chain. If I try to single crochet into that chain, it wouldn't work. So I need to go into the next one. So this, if you read other patterns and they tell you to single crochet into the second chain from the hook, this is the one they're talking about. Not the first one, but the second one. Okay, so I've got my V here, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to put my hook into the left side of the V. I just want to go under one strand of yarn on the left side of the V. So I'm going to put my hook under just that one piece. I'm going to yarn over, pull up one loop, and then I'm going to yarn over and pull through both loops. Okay, so now I've gone into that chain. Now I'm going to go into the next one. So see my V? I'm going to go into the left side of that V. So into the V, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, and pull through 2 loops. Okay, onto my next V. Put my hook under the left side of the V. If you're holding it this way, it'll be the top of the V. But yarn over, pull through 1 loop, yarn over, and then pull through both loops. So now I have made 3 single crochets. And if you lose count here, again, you're going to count V's. These V's are a little bit easier to see than the ones on the chain. So if we look at the top of our work, I see I've got 3 V's. 1, 2, 3. So I have made 3 stitches. I've made 3 single crochets. So let's keep going. Okay, so under the top part of my V, yarn over, pull up 1 loop, yarn over, pull through 2 loops. Okay, under the next one, yarn over, pull up 1 loop, yarn over, pull through 2 loops. Okay, and I'm just going to do this all the way across. So into the loop, into the chain, yarn over, pull up 1, yarn over, pull through 2, into the next V, yarn over, pull up 1, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull up 1, yarn over, pull through 2. And if you notice, watch what I'm doing with my hook while I make the stitches. Okay, so I go into the V with my hook pointing down. I yarn over, and watch how my hook twists as I make my stitch. Because when I yarn over, my hook's kind of pointing up. But when I go through my stitch, I'm going to twist my hook down so that it will catch the yarn. Now it's pointing up again. I yarn over again and I twist it down so that it'll fit through those 2 loops. Okay. So into the next chain, yarn over, pull through 1, yarn over, pull through 2. Okay, so now I've got this last little chain here, And this last little guy on here is a little bit hard to see sometimes. Sometimes he's very small. So if you're not sure how many stitches you've made so far, make sure you count your V's on top of your work. So let's count them. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, well, my pattern told me to do 11, so I need one more. So I'm going to go into this last tiny little V, yarn over, pull up one loop, yarn over, pull through 2 loops. Okay, so now I have done 11 single crochets across my chain. The next thing our pattern tells us to do, and we're still on row 1, the next thing that we need to do is chain 1 and then turn. So if I chain 1, I'll do that, and then when I turn my work, what I'm going to do is just flip it around just like that. Okay, so now I'm ready to start row 2. Row 2 says to single crochet 11 and then chain 1 and turn. So sometimes it's a little bit hard to tell where to start your row, which chain or which stitch you go into. So what we're going to do is we're actually going to go into this stitch right here. Again, it's the second stitch from our hook. So if we count this as our first stitch, that was our chain 1. We're going to go into the next one after that. So right there, see my V? It's actually my second V from my hook. That's where we're going to go. And this time, instead of going under 1 loop, we're going to go under 2. I want to go completely underneath this V that we've made. So I'm going to put my hook into that space that's underneath the V. See my V on top of my hook? I'm going to yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over and pull through 2. Okay, and then see my next V there? Right there it is. I'm going to go completely underneath the V. See, there's 2 pieces of yarn on top of that hook. I'll yarn over, pull up 1 loop, yarn over, pull through 2 loops. Okay, next stitch, I'm going to go under my V. There's my 2 stitches, or my 2 pieces of yarn on top of my hook. Yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2 loops. Okay. There's my V. I'm going to go under my V right there. Yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2 loops. There's my next V. I'll go under him. Yarn over, pull up a loop. Hang on a second. I didn't go in the right place. I need to go under the V. So not down there, not all the way down there. That's actually part of my original chain. I want to go there, just underneath those 2. I don't want any more than 2 pieces of yarn on my hook, on top of my hook. There we go. And then the next one, gonna go right there. So I've got my V on top of my hook. Yarn over, pull up 1, yarn over, pull through 2. There. Yarn over, pull up 1, yarn over, pull through 2. Okay. And I'm just going to go all the way across. Okay. Now it's a good idea to stop and check my number of stitches. Some people aren't sure what to do with this last little piece down here. They're not sure if they're supposed to chain 1 and turn now, or if they're supposed to make a stitch into that. So let's count our stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So I needed 11 single crochets across this row. So now I know that I do need to put a stitch under that V. See that V right there? So I'm going to go under the V, right like that, and I'm going to make my last single crochet for this row. I'm used to saying round because I make so many hats. Okay, so there I have 2 rows finished. Well, I need to chain 1 and turn, right? Now I've got 2 rows finished. Okay, so again, 3rd row, rows 2 through 20 are going to be exactly the same. So row 3 is exactly the same as 2. I'm going to go under my first V, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2. Okay, and snag my yarn just a little bit there. Okay, so I'm just going to go ahead and single crochet this row. I snagged my yarn there just a bit. That's okay. Oops. And if you mess up on a stitch, it's okay. Just pull out that loop and start from a good loop. And I've messed up the end of mine here just a little bit, but it's okay. Okay, so now if you're not sure if you're done with the row or not, remember, count your stitches. And I suggest that you always count your stitches, even if you're positive that you've got the right number of stitches. So let's count. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Okay, so we have 11 stitches. That's how many we need. So now we will chain 1 and turn. Okay, and I'll go ahead and do this one more row, and then I will pause my video and go ahead and finish the bow. So after this row, I suggest that you also pause the video and work till row 20, and that's where I will pick back up. And then my last stitch there, I'm going to count them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Okay, so now I have finished 4 rows of single crochet. And if you lose count of your rows, for this particular project, the total number of rows really doesn't matter because you're just making a rectangle. But if you do want to know how to count your rows, when I single crochet, every 2 rows that I make looks like a hourglass. Yours may look a little bit different, and that's okay. I've seen people single crochet look a little bit different. As long as you're being consistent with your stitches and they all look uniform, and that all your stitches look the same as each other, you'll be fine. But mine look like little hourglasses for every 2 rows. So right there is 2 rows. See my hourglass? And then I've got a deep kind of a trench there, and then I've got another hourglass. So I've got 2 rows there and 2 rows there for a total of 4 rows. And on the back of my work, see, I only have 1 hourglass there. So there's 2 rows there, and then I've got half an hourglass on top, half an hourglass on the bottom. So there's 4 rows total. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and work till row 20. I suggest you pause your video here and go ahead and work till to row 20 as well, and I'll meet you back. Okay, welcome back. I have just completed row 20 of the body of my bow, and if you're counting your rows like I am with my hourglass shapes, I've got 2 rows there, 2 rows there, so that's 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. So I have 20 rows, and I need 11 stitches on each row, so I'm going to go ahead and count those stitches. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So I've done 11 single crochets. The last step on the row is always to chain 1 and turn. Okay. So now on our pattern, we're almost done with the body of our bow. The last thing that we need to do is slip stitch all the way around the bow. Okay, so let's go ahead and do that. And for my guys that are learning to crochet with me, the slip stitch is a new stitch, so I'm going to try to take it a little bit slow. So we're used to single crochet. We go into the stitch with yarn over, we pull up a loop, and then normally we would yarn over and pull through 2. Well, this time, instead of doing that, what we're going to do is go into our stitch, yarn over, pull up a loop, and then pull all the way through. So that is a slip stitch. Okay, and then into my next stitch, remember I'm going under the V, just like I've been going. Yarn over, pull through a loop, and pull all the way through. That is a slip stitch. So into the stitch, yarn over, pull through, pull through. Into the stitch, yarn over, pull through, pull through. Yarn over, pull through, pull through. Okay, so we'll go all the way across the top. And notice how I'm moving my bow and my hook is just kind of staying in place when I pull through. That might be easier for you than trying to do something like that. So move the bow and not the hook. So put the bow on the hook, yarn over, pull through, pull through. And the hook didn't really move all that much. Okay, so now I'm going to go into my last stitch there. Yarn over, pull through, pull through. Okay, so now I'm to the edge. So we had 20 stitches in the body of our bow. So we should try to do 20 slip stitches down the side. If you don't get 20, it's okay. If you get 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, something like that, as long as your stitches look nice, you're fine. So it's kind of hard to tell where to put your slip stitch. I like this little space next to the center of my hourglass. And let's see. See this little space there at the bottom of my hourglass next to my deep trench there? So maybe next to the center of my hourglass and then next to my trench. So that's where I think I'm going to put mine. Okay, so this first one, I've already got a slip stitch there. So I'm just going to go into the space next to my trench. Yarn over, pull through. Okay, and now there's my hourglass. I'm going to go into that space next to it. Yarn over, pull through, pull through. Okay. Okay. So I have slip stitched down the side of my bow, and you can see my slip stitch kind of shows up on the side of the stitch instead of on top. So there's not a V there, but there's a V there. See it? And I'm not going to go back and count these, but I think as I was going I counted 20. But only because I put a slip stitch down into that last little loop there. That was my original chain 1. Which was part of my original chain 12. Okay, so now I'm at the bottom, and this is my chain 12 from where I started. So I should try to have 11 slip stitches across. Remember, we did 11 single crochets across earlier, so we'll do 11 slip stitches across this time. And this one, it's kind of hard to tell where to put your hook again. I'm gonna go kind of, see that little place there? It's hard to see. There's one. There's one. Okay. So there we go. And see, I've got 2 pieces of yarn on top of my hook here. Remember when we did our original chain 12 and then we single crocheted 11 across? Remember our single crochet 11 across, we only had 1 strand of yarn on top of our hook. So now I'm going to put the last 2, because each stitch is made up of 3 pieces of yarn. So with my original chain here, I'm going to have 2 strands on top of my hook as I slip stitch across here. Two. There's my 2. Okay, and I didn't count as I went. Let's see how many I've got. 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Let's see. I don't really have a place there to put an 11th one. And I can't slip stitch into the same stitch because that just turns out weird. See, it's like I've chained. No, we don't want to do that. So 10 works. Okay, so now we're back to another long side. Remember we did 20 on the opposite side, so we'll try to do 20 down this side. And again, if you don't get exactly 20, it's no big deal. Alrighty, so we'll go, again, I'm going to go into the space next to, okay, see, there's my figure 8. So I'm going to go into the space next to the trench between the figure 8, or between the hourglass. And then I'm going to go into the space next to the center of my hourglass. So there and there. There we go. Okay, there's my trench. I'll go into that one. Oops, snagged my yarn there. Pull that one out. Okay, so now I have slip stitched all the way down that side of the bow, and I'm at the end. And the last thing I'm going to do is slip stitch one more time into my original slip stitch, and that just kind of finishes it off. There we go. Okay, so now what we'll do, what our pattern says to do, is to finish off and then weave in the ends. Okay, so I'm going to take my scissors and I'm going to cut my yarn. I'm going to leave a pretty good sized tail, maybe about 8 to 10 inches or so. Okay, and since I slip stitched into that original slip stitch, what I can do now is I can just pull my yarn all the way through. Okay, and now if I pull on this, it's not going to come loose. Okay, so now I'm going to set my hook aside and I'm going to grab my yarn needle, and I'm going to take this long tail that I just made for myself, and I need to thread it through my yarn needle. And the way I like to do this is kind of take my yarn, kind of like that, put it over top of my yarn needle, pinch it kind of close, like that, and then take that little piece that I've got there and try to force it through the eye of the needle. And I use my thumbnail to kind of push it through there too, so if you have nails, it helps. Okay, so now I have my yarn needle threaded onto my yarn, and I'm going to weave in quite a bit of this into the project, just so it doesn't come unraveled in the future, because we don't want somebody to wash their hat and then their bow come unraveled. That would be sad. Okay, so what we'll do is, see on my first row here how I've got kind of like this little upside down V on each stitch? I'm going to try to put my yarn needle just under those 2 pieces of yarn there on each one of those. So I'll start here and see I've got my needle underneath that V. I'll go underneath the next V and the next one. Okay. And I'll go under the next one. And let's actually go ahead and just put through those couple and just pull it all the way through. Don't pull it too tight, because if you pull it really tight, then this corner will kind of not be a corner anymore. It'll kind of round off, so don't pull it too tight. Okay, so I've got my yarn going underneath those 3 stitches. I want to go pretty far, probably all the way across this row. So underneath the next V and the next V and the next one. And the next one. And the next one. I'll go ahead and pull my yarn through. Remember, don't pull too tight. If you do pull too tight, if you do like that, you can always just give it a slight tug. Don't pull too hard, because we don't want to stretch out our stitches. Under that one, under that one, under that one. Then out the end. Okay. There we go. Okay, and then some people like to pick another spot and go back in and then go across that same row. You can if you want to, but this should be secure enough. All right, so what we'll do next is we're going to actually cut this as close as we can to the project. So we'll pull it up just a hair, take our scissors really, really, really close, but we want to make sure that we don't actually cut through any loops, and we'll cut the tail. See, we can't see that tail sticking out there anymore, and our end is woven in. Okay, so now we'll do that on the other side. So we have a rectangle. So here's the fun part. This is really fun. So we'll take our yarn, and we need quite a bit to go across the middle here. So what I'm going to do is just take my yarn, wrap it around 2 fingers, kind of like that. Okay, and kind of eyeball, yeah, that's about how much I used. So I'm going to maybe pull out just a little bit extra, and then cut my yarn. So now this is the piece that I'm going to use to wrap the center. Okay, so what we'll do is I'm going to kind of just fold my bow in half, pull up that side, pull back that side. Okay, so again, kind of like an accordion, fold it in half, fold that piece back, and then fold that piece back. Okay, and you kind of want to eyeball where the center of your bow is. If I start wrapping right here, my bow's going to look funny because it's bigger on the left than it is on the right. So I need to be kind of more toward the center. Okay, and we know we can find the center because we have little hourglasses. Let me flip it this way. Nope, this way. We have little hourglasses that tell us how many stitches we've got. So here's an hourglass. That's 2 stitches, 4, 6, 8, 10. So right there, the little trench right there is the very center of my bow. Okay, so I have found my center, and what we'll do is kind of just hold your yarn there and just start wrapping. Okay. And something that we want to make sure of, we don't want to bury our original little tail there that's sticking out, because we'll need that at the end. So we'll just kind of hold him out to the side as we wrap. And we want to try to wrap pretty neatly. I want to make sure that we're still in the center. We can just kind of eyeball it. Okay, and I'm getting close to the end here. If you cut off too much yarn, you can always just stop when you want to stop. I think I'm going to unwrap a couple times there. There we go. That's pretty good. Okay, so what I'm going to do is lay my bow down, and this little tail that I put in there, it's at the other end of my yarn. I'm going to tie this, and if you need an adult to help you with this part, you can get an adult to help you with this part. I'll go ahead and turn that off so it's not in my way, and I'm just going to tie a knot here. There's just a good knot. Okay, so now we've got a knot that's sticking out on the back side of our bow. So what we can do now is just take your yarn needle and actually use the wider end and just push that little knot up underneath, and the two little tails, and just push right underneath. So now they're hidden, and there's the front of our bow because we can see our slip stitch is on the front, and we are done. There's our bow. If you like the back better, use the back. So now we can attach this bow to a hat that we make later on. We could make a headband, just about anything we can attach it to. So I hope you enjoyed the video, and God bless. Bye.